Hi, everyone, and thank you for joining us today for the latest installment of our Let's Talk About series as we discuss making digital transformations work for your supply chain. My name is Kelly O'Donnell, and I will be moderating for this session today. Before we get into intros and the agenda, I would like to go over one quick housekeeping item. If you submit a question, please use the chat feature. We do have limited time today, so if we don't get to your question, one of our sales reps will reach out directly with an answer to that question and maybe any others you may have. Today, we will be talking about a variety of topics that can help you make digital transformation work within your organization. Our focus will be understanding tactical versus enterprise mobility projects, implementing an enterprise mobility program within your organization, and leveraging data to drive your performance. Now for some quick intros with our industry experts. First, we have Justin Keys.
Hi, I'm Justin Keys, TRG's Technical Solutions Specialist. I assist TRG's sales team from a pre-sales technical perspective.
And I'm Matt McKenzie. I'm Senior Partner Sales Manager with Panasonic. I've been in the industry for about 27 years, helping both end users and partners develop applications and develop solutions for their needs.
Awesome. Thanks, guys. Now we are going to get into what you guys came here for. So first, we're going to start with just describing the difference between tactical versus enterprise mobility solutions within your work environments. One of you guys want to kick this off?
Yeah, I can take that one. The difference between tactical and enterprise mobility. So tactical is the smaller part of the equation, such as replacing aging forklift-mounted terminals, getting tablets for your manufacturing floor supervisors, mobile devices to manage routes and deliveries. These are all short-term fixes, whereas enterprise mobility aims to take an end-to-end approach, whether that's in the warehouse, back office, or retail floor. Small businesses don't have the same capital or technical resources like bigger companies do to do a digital overhaul of how they operate all at once. So enterprise mobility comes into play by allowing cloud-based apps, wireless connectivity, powerful mobile devices with an array of sensors, even IoT integration, all with usable data to increase productivity across your whole business. Enterprise mobility really is that all-encompassing term in relation to enterprise class hardware, software, tools, and all those things that are available out there.
Matt, do you have any experience with either of these types of mobility solutions?
I do, and I've worked on many different occasions with helping these sorts of things. 10, 20 years ago, companies would use a device to simply do a specific task and only address that task as it pertained to that, and it would be tied into a back system, which was very limiting, and you could only capture so much information, and the intellectual information was very limited from that perspective. Today, with the advent of smart devices and many more different applications, you can capture a great number of the information, much more information than you were in the past, and be able to collect that to make your business more efficient and as your business grows. And from that perspective, be able to report on areas that you can do some improvement, track the employee efficiency, and almost gather almost every type of information you really want.
Awesome. Looks like we do have a question coming in. So I'm going to read this to you guys, and then you guys can give your take on it. What are some of the benefits of an enterprise mobility approach in addressing warehouse challenges? Are there any drawbacks to using solely this approach?
I can take that one. So as far as advantages, you'd have better visibility and logistics of all the moving parts in your business, not only in the warehouse, but end to end. All the moving parts from manufacturing to distribution to the individual stores, and even down to when the customer makes that purchase. Another would be quicker implementation, less overall investment versus completely overhauling and restructuring the business. This equates to less downtime, less stress on staff, and faster return on investment. And as far as drawbacks go, generally, there's no real drawbacks. Enterprise mobility is meant to take advantage and leverage data to increase the bottom line. Actually, a statistic out there, companies using enterprise mobility architecture, they will grow their business on average 40% faster than companies that do not.
Awesome. Thanks, Justin. Matt, do you have any different advantages or drawbacks than Justin mentioned?
I think that Justin kind of nailed it right from a high level perspective. Each company will vary to a certain extent on what type of applications they require, what how much money they can invest in sorts of things. But either way, working with a company like TRG, they can help you through this whole process. It seems very complicated, and there is a lot of information to gather as in terms of this, but working with a company has the experience to do these sorts of things, they can help mitigate some of the complexities around this and help navigate you through the process, make these things easier.
Awesome. Thanks, guys. Well, we will move on to the next topic. So on this slide, we're going to talk about implementing an enterprise mobility program within your different work environments. Matt, did you want to get started with this one?
Yeah, enterprise mobility properly used will allow a company's employees to work at any time, anywhere in the world, using many different multiple devices or a single device. This actually expands outside of just the warehouse. So, if they need to be, if it is an application where the a truck leaves leaves that facility to go to another warehouse, they can actually use multiple devices or a single device to track not only devices, the equipment or the inventory they have on the truck, but they also use it to track idle time for a truck, for example, how much to see some of the efficiencies, how well the truck is using its fuel. If it's setting too long idle times, they can use it for inspections. Are the tires inflated properly, or is the engine running properly? Things like that. So, it really expands things outside the warehouse, allows you to do multiple things with a single device or multiple devices in many cases, but really to mitigate cost, being able to use this on a single device makes a lot more sense. Since many mobility solutions use more than a single application platform, some considerations needed on how that will be managed and supported. Employees have become used to using smart devices, so the learning curve is shortened. In the old days, when they used just simply AS400s, and many of those are still being used today, you were relegated to a device to use a green screen, and it was a very cumbersome device where you'd have to go in application where you have to go in, do a function, pull back out, and go to another part of that function, that application, do different things. So today with everyone's become so used to using smart devices that it's a lot easier for them to navigate, and bringing in new employees, it shortens the time for the learning curve, which is a big advantage to that. And then you have to figure out, how these applications are going to be tied into your enterprise system. Or, usually you're going to use more than one application today to do various things. So how are those going to be integrated into the back systems, and how are those going to be managed? And then, from that perspective, as your business evolves, can the whole thing be customized? Can the applications be customized? Can the whole solution be customized to grow with your business as it grows? Those are things you need to consider as you're putting these things in place. Here at Panasonic, for example, we're constantly working on protecting our information from those that want to steal our most coveted intellectual secrets. And with that, we have to keep increasing and improving our security from top to bottom. And those are things that continuously have to be worked. But when you go with a solution, you're considering the solution, you want to consider these securities that are involved with that as well. And most of the newer devices, even Android or iOS, offer a great level of security that you don't have to worry about as much as you used to in earlier days. All these things can be done now today at a cost that's much more affordable. There's options out there, whether you want to buy the solution up front as it is, or there's even SaaS models where it's not just software as a solution, but it's a solution as a solution. So you can actually get those from a monthly cost perspective. So there's really no excuse that a company can't afford to implement one of these new systems.
Justin, did you have anything that you wanted to add?
Yeah, maybe we could just touch on a couple of the points, but yeah, great points, Matt. So maybe to touch on like cross-platform support, many of these tools are cloud-based, so the accessibility between Windows, Android, and iOS doesn't change. You can access those applications through web interface or through apps that are made specifically for the OS. For user-friendly interface, so one of the coolest things, and Matt mentioned the old black screen, green text. So what's come about from the Android devices? Basically, you can take that old black screen, green text, and you can overlay a brand new user-friendly touch interface, which is obviously especially useful for a generation built on smartphones. And you do that through an application profile. It all resides on the client side, and you don't have to make those edits within your system. So really, it's all happening on the device itself. As far as integration goes, it's a lot quicker. Android has a lot of applications where you can just kind of create QR codes and deploy thousands of devices with a simple QR code scan. Whereas the older devices used to be docket, a very manual process, copying applications over, config files, things like that, to kind of get your device set up. Obviously, if you're doing thousands of devices, that's not very efficient. So customization, a lot of these enterprise mobility apps are a la carte. So you don't have to buy an entire system all at once. You kind of add one piece at a time until you get where you need to be. Security is a big backbone for enterprise mobility. It's all built around security. The Android devices that are available today come with constantly updated patches that are available to kind of keep you secure from vulnerability. And as far as cost goes, the cost is a lot less than basically changing your entire business and trying to develop a whole new system and things like that, and then training and things like that. That's obviously more staff. You need a large IT staff in order to kind of support that. And then in general, most of these things have a very quick return on investment. They pay for themselves very quickly. So
I think that I think you made a great point there, Justin, in terms of saying you don't need to buy it all up front at one time. As your company evolves, or as you pick out the most important parts that you need to address first, and then as you come along others, you can customize it to where you can add additional applications or additional functions that you may need, which it stretches out your cost of the whole total solution as it goes along. So I think you made some really great points in terms of what you just explained there.
thank you.
Great information, guys. We do have time for one quick question on this slide. What are some of the common mistakes made when implementing an enterprise mobility solution?
Well, I'll take this one, at least from my perspective. It's I can think of just a handful off the top of my head, maybe around 4 of them actually. Not building the solution to address multiple business functions, only addressing 1 or 2. But as we talked about just earlier, just a little bit earlier, is that we can advance that as we need. We can add more to it as we need to, but not building solutions to address multiple ones. Obviously, you want to be as efficient as you can, and the more things you can address and where you're capturing the data that you need, the better. Another is not building their solution for the right environment. A lot of times they'll invest in a specific portion of it, but it's not necessarily what they really need to capture. So those are some things that we can help navigate. The lack of planning for scale. Not thinking of the company growing and some of those things. So you're not really forward thinking in terms of some of those things. And then finally, ignoring the user experience. How important it is to have the person who's actually capturing that data, how important it is for them to their experience to be considered is very important. So those are ones that I would think. Justin, do you have any that you would like to add?
Honestly, you well defined it. Exactly. Just not standing back and taking a look at the whole business and where efficiencies can be spread across the board. That's really the common mistakes we see, just kind of narrowing those processes, because enterprise mobility is meant to take advantage of all data streams to make improvements across every part of the business.
Awesome. That's some great information, guys. So once the solution has been implemented and you have access to all this data, that will assist with decision making. So now we're going to move on to talk about how that data can be used to drive performance within your warehouse. You guys want to go ahead and give us some examples on that?
Yeah, so just to kind of go over the topics. When it comes to data, something we hear mentioned often is the edge. An example of the edge would be traditional businesses may pull batch data on what orders need filled that day or tasks need completed. But instead of that manual process of pulling that data, it comes in real time, always accessible. So this allows for midday orders to be fulfilled, rerouting products and adjusting workflow to accommodate changes, or simply providing on-the-minute updates, such as how Amazon can tell you how many stops they have before delivering your order. Or Walmart being able to tell you what items are in stock at which locations that you want to purchase. And then maybe just to kind of go in greater detail here on some of these points. So, for all possible actions and the right data, you're making your workers more efficient. You're finding bottlenecks. You're saving yourself from costly mistakes. I've dealt with some customers where if the wrong product is pulled and shipped, that can equate to a $150,000 or more mistake, and they have to foot the bill for that. So, that can get pretty costly pretty quick, especially if the order didn't even cost that much that they were shipping out. So, just that ability to understand weaknesses in your organization and make fixes and prevent things like that. So insight to act and feedback loops. So there's really quick implementation when you're deploying these products. You get detailed reports, detailed information, everything from dropping a device to what OS or the condition of the battery. There's an unsurmountable amount of data. So you can also adjust your actions and make improvements where you're finding these issues, and then you can test that in real time. A couple really cool examples that I've seen are like heat mapping. So stores, say a retail location might have heat mapping. And what this is it's actually tracking where their customers are walking through the store and how they're shopping and things like that. And with just that heat mapping, they can move displays around. They can change where a product is. And get it more visibility, or just kind of enhance the shopping experience. And that right there will equate to better sales and just better customer satisfaction, and that'll grow your business. Another really cool enterprise mobility solution I've seen is something called the Lane Hawk, and what that does is basically when you're checking out, we all put water and pop and stuff like that on the bottom rack of our grocery carts. Well, occasionally we forget about it and we walk out and we didn't pay for it. The cashier didn't see it or think about it, or maybe we were self-checking, something like that. What the Lane Hawk actually does is it scans the bottom of your cart as you pull up to the register, and it automatically adds those things on your bottom rack into the order, so you're not missing that. That return on investment is very quick. Obviously, if that happens a couple times in a day, those mistakes add up, but you're basically giving away free product at that point. So that's a really neat solution out there. And then as far as all possible actions and effective actions, I mean, solutions are everywhere. You just need to collect the data and understand how to analyze and leverage that information to make improvements across your business and really grow to that next level.
I think those are some really good explanations you had, a couple good examples. One I'd like to add to that is, with inventories being and lead times being longer today, knowing your max mins, know what you have to have, when it hits a minimum to reorder, to have other components in is essential. So you can use all this information that you capture to expand on that, redefine what you need and when you need to order, to make sure that you have a constant supply coming in without having a huge inventory waiting there for you for when that you cannot use, and all that costs money. So just using this information to refine that. So Justin, I think you hit a couple things really well on some of your explanation there.
Thank you.
And I know you guys really talked about the high level and how this helps drive performance. But we do have a question. How can this data captured by implementing an enterprise mobility solution be used to improve the day-to-day within a business? So like I said, I know you guys really talked about the high level, but how does it help that day-to-day for your retail workers or your warehouse workers? How can it help them create efficiencies and improve their work life?
Yeah, I can take this one. So the great thing is that every process in a business can be improved in some manner by leveraging the data that's captured. It's just understanding that data and knowing how to put it to work. So, I mean, some of these things can range from, like Matt said, having enough product to meet the demand, and also increase the speed and efficiency and how that product is shipped. A really neat solution I've seen out there is dimensioning. So you can actually take a dimension of a box and it's going to tell you how to pack that truck properly. So that way you can fit the most stuff on that truck for that load. So you're not shipping multiple loads. So right there, you're saving on the truck. You're using one instead of two in that situation, and you're really getting the most out of that load or that haul. The bottom line, if the details and forecasting aren't accurate, then that may equate to a miss sale or a loss of a customer ultimately. And that's obviously not good. So the idea is to use all the data available to make smarter decisions to drive growth and the future of the business to that next level.
Awesome. Well, this has been great, guys. That wraps up our presentation. Thank you, Matt and Justin, for taking the time today to give us a little bit of an insight. And thank you all to our attendees for participating in not only this webinar, but all of our 2021, excuse me, Let's Talk About series. Your gift cards will be sent to you within the next 2 days, and make sure to be on the lookout for the launch of our Let's Talk About series in 2022. Thank you, everyone. Have a great rest of your day.